Zlurpcast!
Oh man, we lost a dude. What happened? Anyone know where Brian Xtreme Mitchell went?
He's with his other friends.
Starting his own G.I. Joe. So last week we did a G.I. Joe episode talking about his adventures at Joe Fest, and now he's gone. Was this whole thing for the last, especially with him and I, since 2009, is this like a 13-year con?
He is the one that got me back into action figures, because he is the one that pointed out the new classified G.I. Joes to me.
He got you,
and then all this shit happened.
Yeah, you got me back in action figures. It's like, I think this whole thing was a ruse. Like, he was sent in to slowly fuck our shit up and then leave. Arise, raise hell, leave. That's what I think happened, because now he's gone. I don't know what. So hopefully we'll get him back next week. Maybe there's a contract dispute. I think he was trying to get more out of the guy, and there is no guy, and I don't know. But this is Zlurpcast. We're doing KwikHitz number 11. Now, 11 is very popular right now. Stranger Things. I am an old school 11. I'm a Spinal Tap 11 kind of guy.
This goes to 11.
That's where I first thought the word 11 was cool, right, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on my Stonehenge as well. I really want like a actual size.
Isn't it like Stonehenge? Stonehenge is how they say it over there.
That's how they say it. Even though it's Americans. So today we have 3 different quick hits.
We're assuming we didn't discuss beforehand. They might all be the same.
Oh, that's true. We have 3 total. Oh, you could have more than one too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fine. If you want to poke holes in it, Biran.
Yeah.
Do you want to just kick it off and get into whatever you're going to get into?
Sure, I'll start.
Okay.
As many fans know, I'm a huge not fan of anime. And I decided to get into
ramen noodles.
That was the start of it.
Oh. You know what? I'm happy about this. I'll tell you why. Because we're blowing it on a quick hits and not a full episode.
Oh, we will do a full episode. We just need more games under our belt. So that'd be the one you could take off, because you want to take a vacation day. So you can take that one off.
Okay, we'll do. So Infinity softback rulebook, huh?
Softback rulebook. Hardback campaign book.
Okay. Is the rulebook a lot older? Is that why?
No. This rulebook's due for 2020, I think, and for September 2020, I think.
Okay.
Version 4 of the rulebook came out originally like 15 years ago, I think. It's been around for a while.
So when I was part of your group, the Friendly Ass Grognards.
Well, you're still part of the group.
Well, I am, but I'm not. I'm like
you're a satellite member.
In spirit kind of guy. Grognard Games and Hobbies. I like how, like, on Facebook it says on the corner of Nerge.
Nerge. Like, that's what Nav used to call it. Nerge.
On the corner of Nerge.
By Uncle Bill's.
We would be there playing a plethora of games. The 3 of us and the rest of our crew. Anything and everything that was not called Infinity.
Right.
You scoffed at them a bit. You looked down upon them.
Right. Well, like, I looked down on anything anime.
Was it, I'm not playing it now, so I'm looking down on it? Or was there another reason?
Probably. Also, I actually had the first edition rulebook, because I'm a secret anime fan. Don't want to.
You never
I don't want to break kayfabe, as they say.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We're all there like laughing, yet you're in with them, and we don't. None of us knew that.
Right. But I'd never played it. Like, I saw it and I saw D20s and people saying, all right, I'm +3 for this and -3 for that, but +2 for this and -6 for that, but +3. So I need a 7 or less. and that always confused me.
I mean, I overheard the guys playing, and just from a hearsay, it's kind of just secondary. It sounded complicated. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yes, absolutely. It is complicated. Like, they've made it better through the versions, but it is still a complicated ass game. Even so, what finally made me pull the trigger is they released something called Code 1, which is Infinity for Dummies, but it's still more complicated than any other game that we play, for sure.
Is it really new, easier rules though?
They took out some of the more esoteric rules that individual units might have. Like, it limits your selection of units, because any unit that has a weird rule, they kind of took out. So they kept more of the universal rules in. So you can't take every single model within a given faction. But the rule book is still, the trimmed down rule book is still like 90 pages.
Like, if you're used to playing Dead Zone, you don't know what you're in for, right?
Right.
Okay.
But some of the things, like some of the rules, are simpler than other games.
Okay.
The way they handle cover, for example, it's like, can you see it's similar to, in Dead Zone? Do you see the whole base and the whole model? Yes. In this one, do you see the whole base? Instead of the model, they use the cylinder, like a abstract. The cylinder of the base of the model is what you got to look for.
So the base of the model infinitely up.
No, not infinitely.
To his head.
To his head, basically. But
that obviously makes more sense. Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about stuff sticking out and things like that. But the way cover works is, if it's obstructed, it's harder to hit. But if you're in cover but also against cover, touching it, then you also get an armor bonus.
Okay.
So harder to hit, or harder to hit plus harder to damage.
That sort of sounds like a combination of all the.
Yeah, but like some of them, it's like, games. How many pieces of intervening terrain are there? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say maybe Kill Team and Stargrave are probably more wordy and more complicated in the regards to cover than what that is. So,
and the other thing that throws people off is that you're constantly reacting. So even though it's not your turn, in theory, you could wipe out your enemy even if it's not your turn.
Is it one of those gotcha things?
This is what will keep me as a fags only game.
Because you're losing me right now on it.
Yeah,
you had me for a second.
Because you get, like most games, I'm activating. You activate. You do all your models or all your activations. And you could spend multiple activations on a single model. So if you have 5 activations, you spend all 5 on one model, and the other models just sit there and go, "Yay!" Yeah. They call them cheerleaders.
Is that what you mean by orders?
Yes.
Okay.
So wasn't that like how it was for Guild Ball?
Yes.
You can blow everything on.
But in Guild Ball, don't you have to predict what you're going to do first? And say, I
got yelled at for not blowing my wad on the main guy once.
Yeah, on the Morticians by Sarlo.
It was the Morticians. I forgot what I had.
Yeah.
I got yelled at.
And wasn't Guild Ball where you had to say, I got 6 activations and I'm going to spend them all on him? You decide each activation.
Yeah, you divvy them out, I think.
Yeah, that's how it kind of was in that Batman game as well, where you had to predict what you were going to spend your activations on. This one, you do it as you go. So you're not committing. You're like, now I'm going to do that again. So, and like most games, each time you activate a model with a command, it's a move and an action. So move and shoot and move, things like that. So you go, okay, I'm activating him, and he's going to move from here to here. Say he's got a standard infantry has a 4-inch movement. So I move here to here. Do you have any AROs, they call it? I forgot what it stands for. Active reaction order. And to do that, you could shoot. And in order to do that, they have to be within line of sight, and facing matters. So it's 180-degree line of sight, and they have to be able to see your model. So they could say, yes, I'm going to shoot. So at that point, you could declare your second engine like, well, I'm going to shoot back. So you get to react by shooting, and he gets to shoot back. The downside for the reacted guy is only gets 1 shot, whereas you get the full shot of whatever gun you have. Like, it could be 3 shots because it's a automatic rifle.
I spend 3 actions on one guy. I move, I shoot, and I wait on the other one.
No, you move. So your first, like my first half act or short action is to move. Do you have an activation? And they can say yes or no. Yes, I do. These 2 guys are going to shoot you. Okay, I'm going to shoot back. That's my second part of my first activation.
Wait, so I move.
Yep.
And then I stop before I do my second action
Yep.
and let my opponent get his action in.
Right, but the actions are simultaneous, so it's not like he can kill you before you shoot back.
How are they simultaneous? You're not doing it at the exact same time.
You are, because they're called head-to-head rolls. So I move, it's like, okay, I'm going to shoot at you. I'm going to react and shoot at you. They're only going to get one shot. They won't get their full burst of their weapon. And you're okay, I can dodge. And if the dodge takes me out of their line of sight, the shot doesn't happen, or dodge and it misses. But I'll say, I'll shoot back. I get to roll 3 shots because mine has a burst of 3. So he's rolling 1 die, and his target is his ballistic skill, and there's pluses and minuses, like shooting into cover is harder, longer range is harder, and you do the same. And whoever wins, and win is get your target as close to your target number without going over. That's who wins the encounter. So you miss or you hit, but my hit is better. Your hit's canceled out. You take 2 or 3 hits. It makes more sense when you do it.
We're still all in your
Yes.
guy's activation though?
Yep. So because I chose to react to your reaction with a shot, that's my activation. So there's a move and a shoot. You don't move and then he shoots, and if you're dead, you're done. You get to react to his reaction, basically.
Is there any of that kind of, I move, I get it, oh, actually.
You're supposed to say, do you have any AROs? And if, card laid, card played at that point.
So at that moment, I say, I put him there and I say, do you have any AROs? That's telling you, I moved my guy there, whatever's what. I mean, is it up to me as a good player to like know how far away you are after I move? Like, is it people not moving where they want to go? Because
you move. Well, no, you declare your movement and show where you're going to move. And then you say, after that, you say, do you have any AROs? And they can say yes or no. If they say no, then you can go on to your second action. And then they can say, okay, I have a reaction.
And an ARO would basically be a reaction shot on their part.
Yeah, so it's a quick snapshot. So 1 shot.
Okay.
Does that take away from their
Nope.
commands?
Nope.
Orders? So
Nope.
they're free.
They're free.
All right.
There's no downside typically to doing it, unless you think doing that's going to make them do something you don't want to do. In our case, in our little demo game we did, you always just shot back. You always just shot them in the ARO.
Any chance of infinity with no AROs? House rule.
It would make it kind of boring, I think.
Isn't that every other game though?
Yeah. I think the arrows, it's kind of what makes this game unique.
Okay, if that's fair. If that's what makes this game unique, in that it's, because I don't like paying attention during my opponent's turn.
Right. You want to be able to take a dump.
I like to go on my phone, daydream, buy a fucking pack of Swedish fish, whatever I'm into at that moment. You tell me when I come back to the table, what do I need?
Yeah. How many of my guys are dead?
Like, what do I need? Who's dead? So you basically, would you say that in this game, you have to be alert at all times?
Yeah. If you want to have a chance of winning, because if you're not going to win. Well, you might. You could still win, I guess, if your active turns are very successful. Sure.
Do you want a chance of winning?
I want a chance to win. I don't mind if I do or don't, usually.
You
Especially when I'm learning a game.
Say that.
When I'm learning a game. Because that's my only chance to beat Mike in a demo game.
Is during the window of painting, interesting,
right?
Trying to be good. It closes all those windows.
Well, I find trying to be good is when we step outside our group where we know where everyone sits as far as how good they are at the game, and then you go to someone that just way exceeds you. That's when you give up. You're like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah, it's almost like you play a sport and you're great in like high school and you get to college. Like there's a certain like group where it's, oh man, like I should have stayed.
Like
now when we first played
Kings of War, I'm like, all right, I felt like whoever I played in our group, I had a chance of winning. And then we stepped outside. I'm like, I'm not going to win another game in my life.
For me, it happened when I played Joe Need in that game.
Yeah.
I was like,
fuck this.
Because he was like using that bump to get me to fuck myself. And I'm like, that's like flat out abuse of the rules.
And here's something that we've already decided to house roll. Checking range for your weapons, no pre-measuring. So you can,
you're adding no pre-measuring.
Yeah. So in theory, you could declare a shot and then boom, you wasted that action because you were out of range.
That's interesting that you went that way, because for years I like no pre-measuring, but I went along with it because everyone seemed to hate it.
Right. And for the most part, it doesn't matter because you're playing on that usually a 3x3, and most of your guns can shoot across the board or close to it. But there are guns that also have a maximum minimum range as well. So if they're too close,
There's no pistols.
No, there's pistols. But you're going to say, I'm going to shoot with my combi rifle. You declare what you're going to shoot with because it matters.
Right.
Because every guy's got a pistol and something, typically.
All right. So I don't want, obviously, we'll save some for the big show. Model standpoint, all metal, right?
No, they're starting to do, they call that Sinocast or Spincast, Sinocast, whatever they call that resin. And they're starting with the tags, which are the big mechs. Let me grab one real quick.
Can't believe Biran's an infinity mark. What the fuck is this world coming to?
Because and my tag, which is their mechs, are is still metal, but some of the newer ones are going to be. So here's a focus.
There you go.
That's a tag, and here's a
like dreadnoughts.
Yeah, and some of the factions or tags are actually have pilots inside them that bail out, a la Mech Zone.
What are they called? Tags?
Tags, tactical armored gear or something like that.
House rule all tags only tags.
They have developed a tag only game, so I'm looking forward to looking at those rules. Each of us gets a tag, and we play tag. Friendly as Grognard tag, so fag tag.
Fag tag, yeah.
So I picked the Pan-Oceania, which is started with New Zealand and Australia and Indonesia, and then they kind of absorbed most of Europe and South America, and I think the US. It's kind of unclear what happens to the US in the.
So this game takes place on Earth
and other planets.
What year?
It's 150 or 250 years, I don't know, something like that, because the whole premise is, so the US, Russia, France, the UK went on they found a wormhole and they sent a space fleet out to colonize the planet on the other side, but then the wormhole collapsed, so they got stuck there. In the meantime, the US kind of fell. Europe was in disarray, and that's why Pan-Oceania became a thing. And then you have China, Japan, they're their own thing. But then they rediscovered the wormhole or found a new one and found it. And the Ariadne, they're called, colonized the planet. So that's where you have your American Rangers, your Cossacks, your
so they
cosmonaut
came
troopers.
back?
No, they stayed. They got discovered, and they'd been gone for 100 years.
Oh.
So the new mega powers came back and wanted to start taking land away from this new planet that they settled. And they're like, fuck you, that's how war started. So, but the problem is, so they were high tech when they landed, but they didn't have the same resources. So now they're way behind in technology versus the other forces, but they make up for it in gusto. So you have like American Ranger and these guys. So they don't even look, the aesthetic is way less anime for these guys because they're not cutting edge cyber stuff. So they have like it more looks like futuristic, real military stuff.
Yeah.
So not everything looks anime. Like the other one are the Nomads, which I call the Space Gypsies. They are on 3 giant motherships orbiting Earth, and they have more of a cyberpunk aesthetic than anime. And then the other faction is the Combined Army, which are the aliens. So they have all kinds of different alien troops. Think Rebels in Dead Zone.
They're called Combined?
Yeah, the Combined Army. They're led by some omniscient AI. But each group kind of has like, each group has a tag, and they have bikes, and they have base troops and stuff like that.
All right.
The benefit of models aside is for Code 1, the max is 10. You can have less than 10, but you can't have more than 10. For the full game is 15. So you are going to take a lot of like high point cost stuff to fill out that list. But the other thing they do to keep you honest is special equipment, like really good guns, cost a separate point total. So in order to unlock like a Spitfire, which is a super rapid fire gun, it takes an extra point of that other skill. So you have to have at least 5 points of dudes to take one dude with that gun. So you can't just take all super guns. And I learned that because we're stepping up to a 15 point game, which is half the max size. The max size is 30 for Code 1. 15-point game, and I could take dudes and lots of guns, but you can't. You can only take a couple specialty guns.
Yeah. So there's some restrictions for list building to not get out of control.
Yeah, and their list builder, now they got the handle of it, is really good and free.
So you're playing, Ryan's playing, Mike is playing.
Mike
bought some minis.
He bought some minis.
Yeah.
He's not committing.
He sounds so goddamn enthusiastic right now.
I have to
I
say,
have not heard anything that would make me want to play this over Dead Zone, but
the
I
metal
don't want
models,
to.
the metal models are some of the easier to assemble I've ever had.
Well, Mike, is it you've said no to too many things, so you have to say yes to something?
Well, I'll give it a shot just so I can
say.
This is not a no means no. It's listen. It's the 5th date. I got to do something.
Yeah.
Okay. It's because it sounds like you've been so. I haven't seen you yet since you bought stuff. It was like I'm enthusiastic.
He had the same reaction Ryan did.
I hope you like it. I mean, it's never good to buy stuff, get into stuff, and not like it. I hope you guys all enjoy it. I'm just I was surprised initially, Biran, only because.
Well, like you said, sometimes you got to unfuck yourself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I'm not saying it's the greatest game ever. I played a demo game with literally 3 points aside.
Do you think it's one of those things where it's almost and this isn't like a knock on anyone, it's more just I think a human kind of trait of, it's easy to just rip on it. But then when you decide you want to try it, like, you know what we should get it? Because that happens with a lot of things. It's easy to just like fucking scoff at it because we're not playing.
It's like
obviously it sucks.
One day at a slow down Gragnar's, we go, I know this is stupid. We should try it anyway. Why don't we just try sucking each other's dicks?
Yeah, right. Because you're bored.
Right. But it was funny because Ryan had the same dejected look on his face that Mike did when he bought a box.
Did Ryan go in his kneeling pose when he bought it?
arms kneeling, arms straight out,
arms hanging down, kneeling.
The low effort pose. Yeah, he was like, because he'd already bought stuff because Jameson is into that game.
Yeah.
I can see Jameson being into it.
Yeah,
he was into it, I believe, when he was around, though, right?
Yeah, yes. Because he also loves to paint the stuff, and this stuff, painters love it. Love this game's models. But he ended up, and then he ended up selling the stuff he did buy to Hoagie. Hoagie's also in.
Okay.
Because Hoagie's been into it for a while, but never gets to play. Because the crowd that's there on Thursday, that's the truckloads of Tubbs crowd.
Tubbs, yeah.
Yeah. And business casual Jesus. I don't know if I want to get in with those guys. I talked to a couple guys that play the guys that play Bushido on Wednesdays also played. So they kind of help me along explaining like the difference between Code 1 and the real game and what's good and what's bad. And they say it's a game you have to play with. It's a game you have to play with people
for intel. You're not actually going to play with them, are you?
No, but is it Greg
Kyson. Yeah.
Greg Kyson. I'd play with him. He's cool.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah.
Do you have any Tubbs?
No, we have tote bags.
So what do you keep your terrain in? Tote bags?
Tote bags, because it's the terrain. Ryan bought the set that comes with the cardstock terrain, the cardboard, not stock. It's thicker than that. It's like the Tinker Turf. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I know that stuff. It's
really basically
cool.
Tinker Turf, maybe not as evolved and advanced as Tinker Turf, but similar. Mm-hmm. Really sturdy, really good for gaming. Like the steps, you could just put your guys on steps and they stay, which is nice.
It's kind of funny. Like unless if you assume all cardboard sucks, you're never going to give other stuff a chance. But
yeah,
that stuff's really good.
Yes.
Yeah. When it's 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters thick.
And also times have changed. Like I think when people think about cardboard terrain, they get in that like Necromunda old timey mindset.
Yeah.
Or the buildings from Drop Zone Commander.
Or the Drop Zone where it's literally Drop Zone. You put a model in on top, they go straight through. It's like I glued it. Yeah, with the fucking glue stick.
Yeah.
So I think when you see how some terrain has evolved, like I always want to try. You guys see that one, like that pop-up, like it's in like a book, that pop-up terrain they do now, where it's like it's a board, and then the terrain's on the board, and you just pop it up. And I'm thinking, there's no way that can be sturdy.
Yeah.
And then you look at pictures and video, and it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah, this
There's
stuff,
models on
like a big chonkin metal tag is going to be fine on this stuff.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
All
he's
right,
got that,
yeah.
and it integrates well with the Tinker Turf he already has too. It's very
Okay.
similar in aesthetic and everything like that, and I think it's cool. I plan on picking up some.
I hope you have an infinite good time
Yes.
with this game.
So we got me, we got Ryan, and we have to seduce Mike. It's got to be slow.
Well, you
We
need
got to
to,
spit on our hands a lot.
in general, though, you need 4 to get a thing going, right?
Yeah.
We have Hoagie.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Hoagie's not an every week kind of guy. So
is Tony playing?
No.
Okay.
He said he would if someone else gave him
This
models.
seems like a game that he might enjoy.
I think he might.
but I think the price point's a little.
Is it
The
expensive?
surprising thing is to play Code 1, we're talking $100.
I didn't think it was expensive at all.
Code 1 is $100.
Infinity models?
Yeah.
They're about, if you get one of the starter boxes, we calculate it's under $10 a model, and that's enough for Code 1.
Compared to Games Workshop, Mike?
Oh, I'm not arguing that. It's
Oh,
just,
okay. I mean, I don't know. I think in general, if you play skirmish games, you got to have an idea of what you're going to spend.
yeah.
And it's not going to be 1,000, but it's not going to be $30 either. You know, it's going to probably be when it's all said and done, probably $150. You know.
Yeah, we did the math. We followed the Bill and Sue value proposition of
Right.
price per model.
1-to-1.
1-to-1 model. The starter boxes, you get under $10 a model. When you start buying individuals, it's, what was that, 15 bucks for an individual?
What's Crisis Protocols, $30-40 a model. So
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
how much for a character in 40K, a single
Right.
character? $40.
yeah, 50. Yeah, exactly.
Now. But I did do more reading. They are working, because they have to, working to transition to that Sinocast for everything.
That's great.
It's the only way, and they're doing it. It's pure business. If for us to continue metal, we'll have to significantly raise our costs. So by going to the Sinocast, they can keep the costs the same, not lower them, but keep them the same.
I think you mentioned something in our side chat the other day about, is there an Infinity not old school, but like we like it better because
Yes.
it's metal
Yes.
thing?
Yes. And some people like the early Sinocast, they say, look at this, and they zoom in on like one little panel. Here's the Sinocast one, and it's slightly off, whereas the metal one's a crisp angle. And it's like, who cares?
Yeah, and also the metal one's going to have a bent sword after one game in a case.
Yeah, and then one of the legs will always be falling off, and it'll just have a big clump
There's
of
going
green
to
stuff
at
and
some
blue.
point. There'll be an outline around the leg, the joint of the amount of times you glued it, re-glued it, and carved it off a little bit, re-glued it again, and then have to paint over the glue to match the.
Like the tail on that Croxagore that I got from you.
Yeah, it's bad. So I don't understand. I'm glad to see they're going with whatever 3D printed resin, right?
No, it's cast.
It is?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
It's probably
3D,
like fine cast. They're gonna use the same molds and
yeah.
Okay.
And it's 3D design, of course. It's not sculpted.
That's great. Well, save some of the talk for the full episode, which will happen.
Yep.
Mike,
We'll
did
get into the
Biran
40
steal
plus
yours?
factions.
Wait, what's that?
We'll get into the 40 plus factions in the review episode.
Yeah, well, the whole thing. Mike, did Biran steal your topic today?
he came close, but no.
Okay. What are you covering?
This is something I picked up on a whim. This is the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, the playtest rulebook.
Oh.
It's written by friend of Chaos Cup, Matt Forbeck.
Oh, wow.
But this is not the full game, okay? So this is a soft release. So they put out the basic mechanics and some of the powers, some of the rules, and this is $10.
Okay.
Which, a comic book costs $4. So I'm at the comic shop and I was like, yeah, sure, fuck this, throw this in there. So
or $5 now. $5 for a lot now.
$5 and less quality, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But in the 80s and 90s, when I was role playing, I was mostly role playing superhero games. So, and I had before the D20 thing all came out, I pretty much had every superhero role-playing game and I was comparing them and all that good stuff. And then when the D20, the open license, it just went crazy. But anyway, so I picked this up, and it's not bad. It's not. Superhero games are hard because they have to be dynamic enough to allow for all kinds of craziness. People that just have guns like the Punisher versus, cosmic heroes and all of that. It's got to scale well. And
do they even try to balance it, or you leave it up to your game master?
Yeah, you need to have a game master who can balance and knows the limits and all of that. But you also have to, it's like any superhero thing. When you have Thor and Spider-Man, you still got to find things for Spider-Man to do and whatever. But, it's like I said, it's not a full game. And there's actually a forum that, like, if you have critiques, ideas, suggestions, whatever, so they will possibly incorporate it. So
it's kind of surprising to buy a play test game at retail, isn't it?
I think so. I've never seen that before.
It looked like when it said play test, I'm like, who'd you have to suck off to get that one, Mike? Because at a store, you'd imagine it would be the actual game, as in there might be updates down the road, but as opposed to version 07, it's V1. This is the game.
Yeah. I assume that's what they're doing. I don't know. I mean, but
I guess if you think about it, instead of trying to find randos online, play test and write your rules for you, let's take it a step further and find someone who actually bought it, who cares enough to spend money and is interested in it to do.
Well, it is also like any like a GW game. The minute it comes out, people come and they immediately break it. They immediately find all the holes that the playtesters didn't. So, all that. But anyway, so the system, it's if you ever play Champions, it was a 3d6 system. You rolled 3d6. You had your modifiers. Champions, you wanted low. You wanted that number or lower. This, which again, aesthetically, people don't like. They want to roll high. So
you try to roll under your ability.
You try to roll under your stat or something like that. Yeah. But in this game, you're trying to roll a target number or higher because people like rolling big numbers. Right. It uses a kind of a neat little system where it's 3d6, but one of them is a special die they call the Marvel die. And they haven't produced it yet, but the Marvel die set will be like 2 red dice that are just regular D6s, and a white die that's going to have 2 to 6 as normal pips, but the 1 will be a Marvel symbol. So if you roll your 3d6 and you, with the modifiers, whatever, you succeed, you succeed. If you roll the 3d6 and you succeed, but you also rolled that Marvel symbol, which is a 1, you succeed with a little extra.
So like Marvel symbols replacing the 1, but you're trying to roll high?
Yes. But if you can succeed and you roll the 1, you succeed. It's called a fantastic success.
Okay. So
a critical.
Roll high on the reds and roll a 1 or high. I mean, I guess a 2 is the worst because it's like you want to either roll high or that 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you roll 2 6s and the Marvel, that's a super success, and craziness happens. And there's some powers that trigger if they get that fantastic success.
Okay.
And likewise, if you roll 3 1s, you botch and stuff like that. So now they call this the D616 system.
Oh,
and I get it.
Yeah, it took me the second read through to actually get the significance of that. But I'm embarrassed to say, but. Also,
I love how they had to change, make the mechanics of the game. Okay, before we get into anything else, we have to somehow incorporate a 6, a 1, and a 6.
Yeah,
guys, let's do that.
Well, that's why it's the 1, because it was the 6. It'd be 666, and that would get the crazy Christians out against it.
Well, in Nominee, the Steve Jackson Angels and Devils game had the D666 system. So
there you go. As usual, Steve Jackson did it first.
Yes. Also, since we're talking about cutesy here, there are 6 stats.
Mm-hmm.
There's might, which is strength, agility, which is agility,
R,
resilience, which is your toughness,
V, vitality,
vigilance, which is your perception, ego and
Luck.
logic,
Oh.
which logic, I know, but that spells Marvel. So
It sounds like those were the first ideas they had in the pitch meeting.
Yes.
Wait,
yes.
Biran, when he was doing that, did you get the Marvel?
Yeah, I got it when
Yeah,
he
you
said
got it
this.
about, like-
When he said might, I knew where it was going.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I didn't. That
Yeah,
one
I picked up that
I
he's
know.
like when I said agility, you're like,
Uh-huh.
What I was going for instead of the game, whatever this is called, I was going with the. Can we think of other words that mean something? Because we want to be different for the sake of being different. So let's call words other things for no fucking reason at all. So I wasn't putting together the Marvel stat. So
Yeah.
right off the bat, apparently there's no anything outside the Marvel universe. You're not going to use this system for.
Well, they will. There'll be a DC. They'll only have dedication and challenge, and that's it.
Yeah.
Dedication and challenge. Those are my two best stats too.
Yeah. So the game, the basic mechanics are you got the stats, whatever. There's this thing called rank, which is, I guess, like your level.
Mhm.
And it defines what are your maximum power levels and what are your maximum stats. So
Rank 1 can only have a might of this or lower. Rank 2
yes,
can have a
yeah,
higher.
yeah.
It makes your
So,
ceiling. Yeah.
yes, and you also have an archetype, which is basically a class.
Is it
So
like
in this
cosmic,
book, they only have
tech,
6. Yeah,
mutant?
yeah. Oh, okay. Here are the things. You've got the blaster.
Wait, hold on. I gotta get ready for this one.
Oh, there's one in there that's terrible. There's the
I gotta
blaster.
guess what code we're gonna have to crack.
Yeah. There's no code.
Okay.
Oh fuck.
There's
You
no
should've
code
let
for
us-
this. But
Should've let us
you've got
think
the
about it.
blaster, which is like Cyclops, shoots energy. The bruiser, which is like the Hulk and Rhino,
Okay,
whatever.
BB.
Yeah. No. No code. Genius, which is your smart guys.
Okay.
So
Your
could you be?
protectors, which are your defensive.
Mhm.
Your strikers, which are like your martial artists and the people that hit well.
Okay.
And then this is the thing that I think needs to change. The kind of jack of all trades that are just good at everything. They use the word polymath.
I don't even know what that means.
The only reason I know what that word means is because I read it in the one and only steampunk novel I ever read. They use that term, and I was like, what the fuck is that term? So I looked it up, and then I forgot all about it. Then I saw it again in
Polymath.
this game, and I'm like, oh god, no.
Is
Polymath.
polymath Asians that have multiple partners? I'll edit that.
But
So meaning they can many things essentially.
yeah, they're like Spider-Man, I think, was a polymath because he's a scientist, he's agility,
He wouldn't be a fighter or well, what did you?
striker.
Oh,
Well, that's more
I
like
get.
Wolverine
Okay,
and
so there's no like I'm this and this.
You're
no.
either one or a polymath.
Yeah. So you and again, that actually what class or what archetype you are kind of defines some of your bonuses. So it's not as open as like Champions was, where you can basically do anything you want. But on the other hand, it gives you a framework. So when you're building your characters, building your character is always a 3-hour process.
That's the most fun part anyway.
Yeah. So
Are
The
there
one thing
are there villains or are we fighting each other?
they're villains and stuff.
But like GM roles villains. Or
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
okay.
Or I'm sure there's gonna be a ton of source books, and because it's already in an existing universe, you know, you're gonna have a ton of source material.
So are you playing Spider-Man or are you creating your own character?
Are you
in
playing Spider Dan?
Yeah, Spider-Dan. They give you the option because they have like, you know, there's the stats for Spider-Man right here,
Mhm.
but you can also make your own character too. So
I'm gonna be 99s and everything.
yeah.
Dibs.
The problem is if you're a current reader of the Spider-Man series, there are a billion Spider-Man. So if you create your own Spider-Man, it's probably already been done.
Yes.
Well, I would.
There's a
think
new
if
gay
you're-
Spider-Man that's into fashion.
Is he a polymath?
Yeah.
They're
And
all-
If you're gonna
polyamorous.
create your own character, I'd say you probably should do something unique and not just like if you want to. I want to be Spider-Man, but a little different. Just fucking do Spider-Man. I mean,
Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I mean,
Any
again, with the Marvel universe,
version.
there's all kind. There's the multiverse, so you could be
Right.
on a different, you know, whatever. So,
Okay.
There are some good things with it. One of the things I didn't like was like for damage, especially for like rank 10 or higher, you're rolling 3d6 and you're adding your bonuses, which is like 35. You are adding
the 3d6 is meaningless. Yeah.
Yes. And you're adding big numbers and you're comparing it to your defense, which is also big numbers.
Gets out of hand.
And that can be difficult.
So you're saying the quick math of it all is a bit much.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's sort of like that's like D&D, where when you're a first level, a dagger sucks because it's D4 damage. But if you're a 20th level barbarian, it's D4 damage plus 38. So the D doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't actually played it. I made a couple of characters. They don't have all the powers in this. Okay, there's and when you buy powers, you again they have it kind of grouped together in like categories like if you have like an armored suit, or for Spider-Man there's spider powers, so they're all kind of grouped together. So it makes it easier to generate your characters, but again, it can limit you. There's rules for if you want to get extra powers, it basically costs you a power slot to get an extra power. So, but again, they don't have the full power list in here. So I couldn't make a speedster because this book doesn't have the speed powers or anything like that. But I'm sure the full rule book will.
I mean, is there enough freedom so if you're using Spider-Man, you're leveling up, do you have to take things that would make sense for Spider-Man? Or as in like, not like something that,
Spider-Man with optic blasts.
Right. Like something that's just outside of what you would ever say. I know it's supposed to be anything you want, but something that's completely unrelated,
Well, you could make a spider-based hero.
Okay.
And instead of taking 2 spider powers, you could instead of taking 2 extra spider powers, you could take 1 optic blast thing. So you could do something like that.
Okay.
But you'd never be great in all of them, probably. If you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, that rank, that's really important because there's some powers that have a minimum rank. Like you can't fly until you're rank 10.
Okay.
So if you want to play a flying character, you have to start at that level.
Let's start at level 10 right now.
What?
Rank 10 right now. That's where we're starting.
Yeah.
Tips.
Is there equipment and stuff?
As we saw in The Boys, if you can fly.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
How many can?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my problem with The Boys is I need some clearly defined power cards, like stat cards for all of these. Because I don't think Homelander's as badass as they think. No one's ever challenged him.
Well, it's the funny thing is, I mean, they sort of, it's kind of funny, like I don't get too much into it, but like in the show, they brought in the Paul Reiser character, the Legend, but basically it's, that's the conduit to tell regular people how powerful the superheroes are. So it's their job. He's doing it through movies as opposed
He's the hype guy.
Comics, but it's like, I'm going to tell the people how good or how bad you are by that. So
yeah.
So like, if you were to, are the villains also? I assume villains you could generate your own or use existing. There's stats for the villains and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This seems like a hard game to GM. Just seems like it'd be all over the place.
I'm gonna do this.
There's pros and cons to role playing in an established universe. The pro is everyone knows it. So if I say Empire State University, bam, we know exactly what you're going to get. The cons are you get everyone that's got these established ideas. They know if you meet Spider-Man, you know everything about Spider-Man. And
the metagame aspect of it.
Yeah. So but again, they've got a built-in fan base. I'm sure they're going to have supplements that are going to be in the cinematic universe, because that's radically different and simpler than the
or is it?
Well, yes.
Are they going to have a different version for all the different universes with different numbers, like with the dice you roll?
Like this is 616 Spider-Man. This is
Ultimate right. You just got to have like
a
new dice pack is all you need.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like a fun thing. And you also like reading role-playing game rules from a that's a fun thing to you anyway. So even if you never play, kind of a fun thing to flip through.
Yeah, so it's entertaining. I wouldn't recommend it if you want to play because there's just not enough here. You can only get certain power sets and all that.
Wait
And
for it
there
to really
also
come
are-
out. Yeah.
What?
Well, if
Wait for it to
everybody
really
says-
come out.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
everybody says that, then
Yeah.
isn't the whole point moot? You're supposed to play it, right?
I don't know how. I actually went on I was expecting them to have like a forum where people would be discussing all the shit. They don't have that. And it's probably a good thing because who wants to fucking manage all that? And forums is going to go crazy. But there's an online survey that you fill out that you can talk about good and bad things.
I bet you there's like a Discord out there for it.
I'm sure there is.
You know,
I'm sure there's a Reddit too, but
Something, yeah, where
Yeah.
people are now. Whether Matt, right, for whether he looks
Yeah.
at it or not, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's
Yeah.
just people talking, and but-
Maybe we can ask
Yeah.
him at Chaos Cup if he's playing.
yeah.
Did he bring like women with him or something? Was that
He
his thing?
brought that weird biker guy who brought the women. And
Maybe he'll come to 20th anniversary of Chaos Cup. Sign some books. Hey, it's another book to sign too.
Get that shit
So
slabbed.
Biran, he wrote all the Blood Bowl novels.
Oh, really?
That's where it came from.
Yeah.
He wrote Blood Bowl, like Death Bowl. No,
there's
I forgot
four of
this.
them.
There's four.
I have the omnibus. Is it in there?
Yeah, it's all of
That is the omnibus.
Yeah.
Or those Blood Bowl novels. Which is funny because everyone was bitching about how they weren't real teams, and then they created the Old World Alliance,
right.
which
there you
is
go.
that's what that team is. So
All right. Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah, maybe I'll sign it for you.
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you read it, Biran? It looks uncracked.
It is red. I did not get very far. I get it to page 44.
That looks like it's gonna fall apart kind of book.
Yeah.
It's the same format like all the Space Marine novel omnibuses are in this format.
Huge though. I've never bought a GW. I'm like I just have the normal
Yeah.
paperbacks.
Yeah.
It looks like it's like it.
No, it's the binding seems pretty good, and I've actually read the entire Salamanders Omni, and it held up fine.
Oh, okay. Cool, Mike. Anything else on that one?
Oh, it seems like a good game. I'll probably pick up the main rulebook when it comes out. It'll be hardback and all that. So
Sounds like a Sunday
it's a
game.
lot
option
better
at
than the last one they did.
Sunday game at Grognard's. I'll play it.
Mike's not volunteering to run it.
No, he's not.
Mike wants to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Over to me.
Sure.
Let's do Speed Freaks.
What's that?
This game review is about 4 years late, so maybe I'll have a chance to cut through all the internet bullshit. But it's been sitting on my shelf for a long time. I bought it like a lot of people when it came out, and I like the idea of it. And I thought, how can we play this game? So I played the regular version of it first, where you're playing different missions, a buggy and 3 bikes against a buggy and 3 bikes. And right off the bat, I'm like, I don't like it. I like 1 guy per car. So immediately I went into the con mode like we did with Devil's Run at Adepticon. And a group game seems way more fun for this. So what I thought about doing was finding a time when many people I would want to play with are together. And that time I decided was Friday before Chaos Cup, not trying to compete with Sevens and Death Bowl, whatever. I didn't want to play Blood Bowl that night. I want to do something else. And I'm sure there's plenty of other things to do, but I want to play this game, and selfishly, I'm going to run it and play it. If people join in, cool. If they don't, that's cool too.
You do the Virgil if they don't.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll sit there all night with my fucking meat breadsticks and meat sauce. Fuck money. So the main game itself, if you look at the Chaos Race Facebook event that I put out there, it looks like I changed the entire game because I have like 20 house rules. But many of those are just tweaks to, 1, play it in this format, and 2, just there's a few actual changes. But the main game itself is whether it's a race mission, or they call them rucks, whether it's a race or like a fight each other, obviously some of the buggies are going to be better than others, so throwing this one out there, the old Mega Track Scrapjet. This is loaded with a bunch of guns all up front, one in the back there. I'm up against people on my side, there's not a lot, and arc matters in this game. You have an arc that's like either, put it on the front or back, shows you front, back, left or right. But this one in a race, the pro tip I would say would be, why don't you hang back a little bit? Shoot the cars in front of you, like the Mario Kart red shell kind of thing, shoot things in front of you and then eventually make your way up front. Whereas some other ones that are a bit faster, like the shock jump, you might want to just get out the right away. I've also got the Schnazwagon over here, which I like, probably my favorite one. This gun up here is not 360, but pretty close. I think it's front and the sides. But basically, in this game, you are rolling these Speed Freak dice. They are, that's bad. Most games of Blast is good. This is a miss altogether. You have a Lightning Bolt, which is your crits. You have hits, which there are 2 of those. And you have Shield, which are 2 of those. So if you're making your own dice, you do 2 of one, 2 of another, and 1 and 1, if you needed to make more of these. You have 4 phases in the game. And, in a multiplayer game, let's say there's 8 of us playing, we would go through phase 1, everybody, phase 2, everybody, phase 3, everybody, phase 4, everybody. Phase 1 is, or the round starts with the cunning phase, not cunning, but cunning.
Cunning.
And that is where you take your dice. The main game uses 10 dice. I am bringing it down to 7 for my game because it's 10 dice when there's 4 vehicles aside. I've realized it plays better with a little bit less dice on there because then it's overkill on a lot of the things and shooting and speed. It just seems to play better. Plus, it allows me to get more dice, get more people playing with the dice I have. So like if I have 10 or 20 and someone else has, eventually you get 1 or 2 freebies in there. So you have this map, which is blocked by this thing here because we hide what we're doing and unveil it. You put your cunning dice in that first one. That's to try to win initiative. So what happens is, let's say I put 2 dice there, and we unveil it, I roll these dice, and these are worth 2 points in this phase. The hits and the blocks are worth 1, and the miss is a miss. And whoever has the highest score wins the cunning phase, which means they win the initiative. They're going to get to go first. Those dice get put away. You might use them for other things, because the dice are kind of multi-purpose. You use them to assign out, and then you use them later on to either roll or allocate. But I found it best to keep the dice that you assign on these things so you're ready to use them, and use other dice for your rolling, because you're never going to remember how many dice you put in these spots. But so cunning phase, you roll for initiative. Here's your speeding phase. So you do the same roll. So let's say allocate 2 dice to that one, do the same roll. That tells you how many gubbins you get to use. What are gubbins? Well, those are how far you move. And so you place them in a line, starting in your front, and that's your gubbins. You can also place them in like a 45-degree angle, and that's like a Tokyo drift kind of thing, where instead of moving forward, you're moving like
strafing.
It's not going to look right on here, but you're moving, drifting, and then you make a driving test because you're getting a little crazy there. So then you do your movement. If you touch another vehicle, a ram happens. They make it super easy as compared to what we were doing in Devil's Run. Anything but a head-on collision, and yes, there will be head-on chance before anybody asks. Anything but a head-on collision is this simple. The person doing the ramming rolls 2 dice. The person getting rammed rolls 1 dice, and that's it. You're rolling to see for hits. So I'm going to hurt you, and you're going to hurt me. I'm probably going to hurt you a little more because I'm the one ramming. That's it. I'm adding a house rule where both vehicles get moved 2 inches in the direction of their collision point, so they could possibly hit others. I get why they left it out to keep it simple, but I think it's way more fun to push people into things, and it's not going to overcomplicate it. So that's a small thing I'm going to add there. Over here, you have a shooting phase. This one, you don't roll the dice to see what you get. That mechanic is kind of out the window. What you do is you take your vehicle sheet and you allocate the dice to the different weapons. So everything's allocated evenly. And then if you have more dice, you can wrap it around, not for a second shot, but to add a reroll to your dice roll. So allocating more dice to a gun gets you rerolls, but you do have to allocate all. A lot of vehicles have this rule called, this one doesn't, called riding shotgun. And that's like the grots that are hanging out on the vehicle itself. They always get to shoot their weapons without dice allocated to it. So I put in my rules pack, I don't want to call it a house rule, I call it a clarification because it seemed like that's what they were going for, that skips the allocating thing, as in you can start wrapping it around for your rerolls, because since they get to shoot anyway and allocation doesn't matter, there's no need to waste allocation dice on those. Anyway, cunning phase, speeding phase, shooting phase, and then any vehicles within 2 inches of another one, you have fighting phase. Basically just, you get out, you throw stuff, you punch, close enough. Not everyone's going to have that phase, obviously. Depends on where you are in relation to everybody else. The game we're playing at the Chaos Race at Chaos Cup is going to be a racing game. It's going to be a figure eight. You're going around. So I've got I'll have these buildings in there, kind of in the middle, creating a bit of a figure eight. If you get hit by those, you're going to take out damage. When you take damage in the game, typically you flip a card over to see what happens. So it's could just be one damage. Could be the driver's going crazy. Could be your car's on fire. Just plenty of different fun ones out there. Not all of them cause damage. Most of them do. I like, and the one my favorite to use is the Schnazwagon, and it's their ability is called Watch Discs, and they actually have better driving rolls when they're on fire. They're just kind of fucking around. So, other than that, most of the vehicles in the game, I believe, had 9 hit points, and so that's how much damage they'll take before they crash or explode, and they're out. They always have an armor roll. So you hit me, I roll my armor, try to negate it. Oh, one other house rule I threw in there. When you roll the dice in the shooting phase, I didn't like that crits didn't do anything different. So a hit is a hit and a crit is a hit. And on defense, the shield is a block and a crit is a block. So what I added was, when you are on defense, when you're rolling your armor roll, and to basically negate dice, block dice to negate hit dice, whatever ones go through. The only difference is the crit's not doing more damage, but if I roll a crit on a hit, you can only negate it with a crit on a block or on a defensive roll. Just because it just seemed weird to me to have that mean something in every other aspect of the game, and then in shooting just meant another hit or another block. So I just said, you know what? This way, hey, I rolled a crit and a hit. I rolled 3 blocks. Well, the crit's going to go through because you didn't roll any crit. So I added that on there. We'll see. I think it'll make the game a little more bloody, but I'm not worried about it because after playing it a few times, I realized that armor rolls for most of these, 4 dice, you usually will negate everything. It's very common to not have any damage in a round. So making it a little bit more bloody, I don't think is a bad thing.
And that's the mechanic that GW used for Warcry. So it's an established mechanic.
You know where I actually was thinking about it was, I saw a lot of similarities with tanks, surprisingly. And in tanks, super simple game, you have your cards you flip over for damage, and you have your, I'm negating it, but in that game, a 6 was essentially.
What game did you say?
Tanks.
You're welcome.
You know what it stands for? Tactical advancement, armored. Now everything we do is going to be what does it stand for?
Right.
It's just a fucking word. No, what does it stand for? Speed Freaks, super powered, and it's Speed Freaks, by the way. Anyway, in the game, you have the rules for these 6 main wagons, aka buggies, and they're a little bit of fluff on each. I have no problem. People want to convert things up. In fact,
what are the stats on the pump wagon?
Very bad, very bad. I made it really slow. I gave him one special rule though. It's the rule is called is he even in this shit? And that rule basically means I've got to roll a 7+ on a D8 to target it. So he's not going to be shot at a lot. You know what will happen though? We're going to ram the fuck out of him, and he will be dead in turn 1. He won't be shot.
You should have a that guy rule, because a pump wagon is a that guy move.
It would be like in Blood Bowl if I showed up with a fucking Space Marine team and said, well, I'm using these,
Or all the
by the way,
all the other
some of-
bullshit proxies people do.
Yeah.
Come on. Like I'm all for conversions, but I don't like the outside. Like
We don't need
really-
trolls or My Little Pony guys.
Another, I don't want to call this all house rules. A lot of them are just my event rules. While we are driving around this figure eights, and we of course are battling each other, there's also going to be 5 flash kits hanging out up top, having their way with you up top here. Whoever wins the initiative will be rolling for the flash kits, and thus they will be immune to getting shot by them because they're just too quick. So it behooves you to put cunning dice to win initiative. Because one flaw I saw was, I'm not going to waste dice. Either I'm going to go balls out and win initiative, or I'm probably not going to win, and thus wasting dice. So I wanted to make it more of a battle to win initiative. So they are going to be shooting at you and having a little fun up there. Flash, nothing wrong with flash kits, having some fun.
Or some
No, you
weird
can't
boys.
shoot it.
What about some weird boys up there?
You can put some weird psychic powers up there.
You know,
Maybe somebody's head explodes. Just for
that
fun.
was my favorite rule in Battlefleet Gothic. That the orc ship sometimes would just put a weird boy up, like strapped to the front of their ship,
Yeah.
and just going.
Right.
"Bleh."
You need someone to guide you. I mean, sure, one could look to a navigator of sorts, but
Yeah.
I'll believe what I want to believe, and I believe.
Why would I
believe
have
what-
Geller fields? I want them on board.
Right. I want exactly. Other than that, though, all the full rules are on the Facebook events. It's going to be a fun little con thing we're doing, and you guys aren't expected. You don't have to play. If you want to play, it's fine. But I'm not like giving everyone shit for not playing. I just wanted to run something fun because I didn't want to play Blood Bowl games.
Because 6 games of Blood Bowl is enough.
It's already enough. I just don't want to. I'm sure Death Bowl's fun and whatever else people are playing, sevens, whatever. I just didn't want to do it. So,
Yeah, I'd rather play any other game
right.
just because you're getting enough Blood Bowl. You don't need more Blood Bowl.
Exactly. I just don't want it. I'm sure it's fun. And here's the thing: I would totally play Death Bowl or some other game at some other events, not before 6 fucking games of Blood Bowl or after. I think somebody's doing Saturday night, whatever. So I think it's Death Bowl on Friday and sevens on Saturday. I don't know, but I just wanted to run this Friday night. But I hope, Mike, you can tell me based on your experience at the hotel. I was going to bring the actual game boards, and Xtreme has a set too, and like put the full 4x6. But I also have a 4x6 mud mat. Am I going to have a place to put the mat, or is it better to use these because we're going to play on weird tables? You know what I mean? Like rolling out a flat mat, is that going to be a problem where I should bring these to just?
I don't think it'll be a problem. I think we have the rooms the Friday night. So.
But room as in a table that is 6x4 or 2 together. You know what I mean?
It'll be
like
2 together, but.
Yeah, because sometimes when you use the cardboard things, the advantage of these is it lets you play.
It'll stay
on
rigid
things
if it
that
goes
are
a little over.
rigid, or let's say you put 2 circle tables next to each other. That happens at a lot of events. You could put these on those, and sure, somebody might get a little spazzy and flip it, but you can, right? Like, whoops, like yeah, whoops when you're fucking dying, whoops. But usually those work well there, where a mat would. So I'm thinking about bringing my mat because it's a more fun to play on that. Anyway, I just wanted to. I didn't know if you knew. There's already.
Are you driving? I assume.
I am. Yeah.
Oh, bring them both then.
Oh, I will. But I just didn't know if.
You want me to
but
bring
that-
the 4x6 thing I bought from Paul?
Oh, the flip over
The
one.
flip thing?
It's great. Yeah. You want to bring that? Is it?
It's in
No,
my garage. I haven't
No, you
used
don't have to
it
bring
since
it. It's too hard.
Heathcote, but
That's what I love about these mats. I mean, I can't sit
Roll 'em
there,
up.
like man, these mats are fucking great.
yeah.
And even right now on my little, this is my just little office game table. I have a Marvel mat, and on top of it, can you not see?
Yeah, exactly.
Marvel mat. Oh, there's the camera. Marvel mat, and then another brown mat on top of that. So they're awesome. I'll bring them both. But anyway, yeah, if we get a few people playing, I think it'll be pretty fun. It's going to be one of those rowdy games, like Biran. I know when you see like the Super Show players playing, they want to be the loudest.
Mm.
I'm going to try to get that going. And
Like when
Like
you guys
Redneck
would
Life.
play Super Show and
that's a
go,
fun one.
You go goosh, goosh, goosh.
Actually, we're gonna yell, wow!
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like Games Day? Like the old Games Day?
Oh,
All right, let me hear you guys.
Wow.
wow.
Anyway.
Oh,
So,
I am paid up and registered for Chaos Cup.
Oh, that's good.
What are you doing on Friday, Biran?
I don't even know if I'm gonna get a hotel or not, if I'm just gonna drive every day.
It'd be easier to drive, but if there's time, pick up an orc buggy, not a proxy, and paint it up. But here's the thing too. I don't mind like tweaking the cards to conversions. If I had to pick one negative, by the way, is that like I don't have one of them here, but so one of the buggies, there's a grot throwing stuff out the right side of the vehicle. If you build it stock, the card says, burn a bottles right. So I'm going to try to do WYSIWYG. So if you build something that's like, well, I wanted to put him on the front. Well, then he's got front arc. I'm not going to, I in lieu of looking cool and having rules that match, I'm not too worried about tweaking the card, but.
Can I use my Land Raider?
You can use a looted Land Raider. And here's the thing. It's not going to be the fucking stats the Land Raider. There's going to be a problem with that thing. You're going to have to roll on it every single turn to see if it's spontaneously.
Or the best one, was it a Rhino or a Land Raider where it was just orcs holding boxes in the shape of a Rhino? Have you seen that?
Oh,
model?
That's awesome. I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's a Rhino that they cut up into sections and had orcs holding up the sections. So
they're holding the pieces of the Rhino
holding
together?
the pieces of the Rhino together, and then when they hook up, it looks like a janky ass Rhino. And it says,
"Oh, that's really cool."
It says not an orc painted on it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. The ones I always think about are the orc commandos, yeah. Where it's like a bush they're hiding behind, but their arms and legs are sticking out of it.
Yeah.
And guns.
The barrel ones too, where they got the barrel on their
barrels,
head.
Yeah, or trash cans and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're doing that. I think it'll be probably there's going to be obviously talking, hanging out, but as a game itself, it's like an hour game. It's a pretty quick game. Even the regular game itself, it's pretty quick. I will say, if you play the normal game, I mean, it is kind of like X-Wing a little bit, where you're planning things out in advance because you have other vehicles. And it's kind of fun. I just think, the idea of one per person, making it a con game is best.
It reminds me of I think it's called Formula D, where you'd have to pre-plan what gear you're going to
Formula Day.
Yeah, Formula Day.
Yeah. What does it stand
Formula
for?
Gay.
What does Formula stand for?
Fast.
Fast or
racing.
So, all right. Well, anyway, so Speed Freaks, the Chaos race at Chaos Cup. Anyone watching, it's going to Chaos Cup that Friday night, wants to be a part of it. Anyway, fun game regardless.
Is it bring your own buggy? BYOB.
BYOB. Bring your own buggy. BYOB. No experience needed. I'll explain everything. It's super easy, but you will have to bring your own buggy. If you have actual Speed Freaks dice because you bought the game, I love it if people brought them.
All right.
Essentially, bring a buggy, and that's all.
Or
I paid full price for mine, and then was discounted 50% like 3 months later at Grognard's. So
the main game?
Yeah.
You mean you bought it full, and then later on?
Later on, it was just like, oh, it's still unopened in my house, and it's 50% off here.
You should return it for 50% store credit.
Mm-hmm.
I also paid full price for mine as well.
Yeah.
I will say this, like the Speed Freaks, by the way, the rule, I should have said this. I don't care if anyone with GW was never going to watch this, but if anybody wants the rules, I took with my phone pictures of these. It's literally like fucking 9 pages. It's nothing. So I'll give you the rules. It's not a big deal, but I can explain it all. As a value, full price, if you play orcs, in 40K, you get the 2 vehicles, and those are like 50 a piece.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I know. I'm not complaining.
And one of the terrain is amazing. Like the terrain, I bought another set not another full box set, but I bought a guy's terrain off eBay. It was like $60 for all the bills. So I basically can do 2 full. So this is half of one building. If you put them all together, and I have 2 full ones of those, plus all the scattered terrain. So, and I'm gonna paint some terrain for once because it's easy. And from that aspect, it's a good value. If you have no interest in like terrain or more vehicles, it's probably not. Because what was it, like $200, Mike?
It was less than that.
I think it's 150 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought it was 200. Yeah.
No, it's the old pricing. From
Yeah, if it was
years
released
ago.
today, it'd be 200 or 250.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much is that Horus Heresy box set?
300.
300.
Fuck. Come on.
$300. I looked at it yesterday.
That's almost what I spent on that Spartan tank from Forge World.
Right. How is there a hardcover rulebook inside, or is that separate?
Yeah, I think it does
Yeah.
have the rulebook inside.
It does have the rulebook inside.
Like it is,
of it.
it's
Remember
very
those-
a good value, I guess. But if you're not gonna use that tank, it's not, because that's the big ticket item in there.
Yeah. So anyway, so pick up a buggy, paint it up, and I like to see cool conversions. Even just like head swaps are kind of fun. Like I think it'd be cool to do one with all the masked guys, like the robbers looking, or like I have one that someone did. I picked up on eBay. It was all the pirate guys, which are the Flash Kids
The Flash
heads,
Kids,
but they made it pirates. Yeah. So those are easy conversions too. But yeah, fun game. Other than that, that's it. That's the Zlurpcast. If you want to buy merch with the logos on it, you go to zlurpcast.net. You can get the Death Path characters on there, the Smash shirt, Zlurpcast logo, the new logo, the old logo, our Blood Bowl teams, a little bit of everything, stickers, buttons, bags, everything. It's on there.
Come out to Chaos Cup. We'll be giving out team stickers, or I will at least, because what am I gonna do with 50 of them?
Yeah, whatever I got, I will give out. Oh, and if you play into Chaos Race, I've got a sticker that you will get for free. And I have a patch that no one has seen yet.
Oh.
That may or may not be free. But I found I didn't get it custom made. I found literally the perfect patch for this game. And it came from Germany.
Ah, das gut.
So it cost me some money. I'm probably going to give in and give it away for free. But I also might charge you $10 for each. It's probably going to be free because
it'll be $0 to $10.
I want people to play. Anyway, that's about it. Next time, covering Brian should be back. Biran or Xtreme. This is Biran. Brian.
Mm-hmm.
He might have a very special episode, like a CBS after school type episode. Who taught you how to do this kind of thing? Who knows what else is next? I don't know. Maybe
he'll talk about his
no
G.I. Joe show that he did instead of doing this.
Yeah. Real American Brian is probably airing right now at the same time as this one. If you wanted to talk about Real American Brian, you should have called last week when the subject was Quick Hits number 10.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to talk about Quick Hits number 10, you should have called previous week when it was talking about whatever
You
else.
should call in 2 weeks, because in 3 weeks we'll be talking about Infinity.
Probably.
Yeah.
And if you call to talk about Infinity, which will air in 3 weeks, know that Biran has already quit playing Infinity by that time. So don't even watch at that point. They've already moved on. Super Fantasy Brawl is back, everybody.
Well, was played as well last night.
Yeah.
Which
That
was
was
the
horrible.
side game? Was that the side game?
Yes.
Infinity was the main
But
course?
that's a really good side game.
Yeah. Well, it was Tony, me, and Owen, Ryan's son.
And Owen owned both Mike and Tony.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tony lost, and we told Owen that counts as 2 wins.
It does.
But at least 2 wins.
But beating me counts as only half a win because I suck.
Well, and you didn't get a single victory.
Yeah, he beat me 5-0. It was terrible.
Man.
Using a team he literally just cracked the cellophane on.
Like, no experience. Just
And me using the team that I destroyed him with the last time I did, it was terrible. But yeah.
That's a fun game. I do like that. I was surprisingly impressed by it when we played at Brian's house.
I've enjoyed every game of it I've played. I've won probably half, lost half, and enjoyed them all.
It feels just like if I wanted Judgment, but like simple and no bullshit. You know?
Mhm.
Judgment for dummies.
But like not even dumb. I mean, I know you're saying it jokingly, but
Right.
Judgment with no bullshit.
Yeah.
If anything, you know. So yeah, it's a cool game. Anyway, that's about it. So we'll say our goodbye. Oh, slurp on that sub button, will you? With your bare foot. This is for all the fetish guys.
How come your foot has more seasoning than that chicken?
I know. It's got fucking salt on it.
Bye.
Zlurpcast! Brought to you by Zomboy. Eat flesh.